comfortable seat. If you brought your blanket or towel, you can kind of sit on the edge of it if you want. And the purpose is to just help you sit up a little straighter. So by elevating your hips, it allows your back to kind of be straight without, just with your back feeling better, without working too hard. All right, and we're going to start, well, just roll your shoulders up and back a few times, just kind of working out any kinks. And before we actually start the class, we're going to start with a breathing technique, and it's something I don't normally do, but I thought we'd try it because with all the Saharan dust, like this just kind of helps clear the nose, clear the airways. It's something I've only seen in yoga. It's called alternate nostril breathing. I don't know, have you heard of it? Yeah. So what you're going to do, and I'm going to be opposite of you, but you're going to take one, maybe your right hand, and just have your pinky and your thumb out. So this is how we're going to set up. And your pinky, so I'll talk you through it, but it takes a lot of concentration. But, you know, basically you're closing one nostril with your pinky and then the other with your thumb. So I'll walk through it for a few breaths, and then we'll just kind of pause, make sure you got it, and then we'll try it again. So go ahead and start on let's take a nice deep inhale, complete exhale, and then inhale. You're going to close your right side with the thumb. Inhale through your left nostril, close your left nostril, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right, close the right, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left, close the left, and exhale with the right. Inhale through the right, close the right, and exhale with the left. Inhale on the left. Close the left, exhale on the right. Inhale on the right. Close the right, exhale on the left. One more time. Inhale on the left. Close the left, exhale on the right. Okay, go ahead and release. So just kind of notice if you feel like your nostrils, your airways start to be clear. But basically what you're doing on one side, you're taking an inhale, exhaling on the other side, inhaling back on that side, and then exhaling on the other side. So you'll always start your exhale on the other side. All right. And one of the reasons we do this breath is because it kind of cleanses our nasal passage, but it's also kind of a way of starting like a meditation because you really have to concentrate. You can't really be thinking about other stuff. So let's go ahead and try it one more time. All right, so let's just take a nice deep cleansing breath. So inhale, complete inhale. Exhale. Inhale on your right, closing the left. Close the right, exhale on the left. Inhale on the left. Close the left, exhale on the right. Inhale on the right. Close the right, exhale on the left. Inhale on the left. Close the left, exhale on the right. Inhale on the right. Close the right, exhale on the left. Last one. Inhale on the left. Close the left, exhale on the right. Okay. So from here, we'll just maybe close our eyes or soften your gaze. And just start to lengthen your breath a little bit more. Just taking long, deep inhales through your nose. Long, deep exhales out through your nose. So kind of this breath, deep breath in and out through your nose is kind of the breath that we'll be using throughout our regular practice. Using this time to really kind of just let go of anything weighing on your mind. Using your breath as a tool to really start to become present for the next hour or so. Taking a moment to really just observe, feel, and notice being outdoors right here, right now. So feeling that strong, warm breeze, the sounds of the wind, the waves, maybe the boats or even the city. Notice the sun setting, the cloudiness. Just embracing all of this as part of our practice today and part of our experience. And just take a moment to set an intention for class, or just remind yourself of something you're grateful for before we start. And then you can slowly open up your eyes. And we're just going to start with a little arm movement. So inhale to reach your arms out nice and long. Reach all the way up. Look up towards the sky. Exhale to reach the arms out and back down. We'll do that 2 more times. So just inhale, really opening up to the elements. Exhale, come back down. Inhale again. Feel the size of your body lifting as you reach up. Good. And then exhale. All right, from here we're going to come to our first Yin Yoga pose. We're going to come to a child's pose. So you can use your blankets if you have them. If you don't, it's really no big deal, but just as extra padding for your knees. So because in Yin Yoga we hold the poses a little bit longer when we're on our knees, it's important kind of that they're protected. So you're just going to take your knees out about the width of the mat. Take your time to set up. And you're going to sit back towards your heels the best you can. And then walk the arms out and then relax your forehead down on the mat. So in Yin Yoga, we generally hold our poses anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the pose. We may add on during that time a few variations. And the idea is when we hold the poses a little bit longer, is that we can work on that deeper flexibility. So instead of just stretching the tissues and the muscles that we do in normal yoga practice, normal flow, we're trying to stretch the tissues beyond the muscles, those deeper tissues in the ligaments, the joints, and even the bones. And those tissues are a lot deeper. They're a lot harder for us to access. So that's why we have to hold it longer. But we do the practice in a more gentle way. From here, you're going to keep your knees, your feet the same, but we're just going to add a twist. So child's pose twist, walk both hands over to the right side. You can lift your forehead up, and then you can bring your forehead back down. So just kind of notice as you walk over to one side, the other side of your body, you kind of start stretching out the obliques, the side muscles. Using this time to just kind of come back to your breath. And then moving nice and slow, just walk your hands back through to the center, taking your time, and then walk your hands over to the other side. So kind of noticing in each pose where in your body you're feeling the stretch. So kind of connecting with your body. Each pose has a certain target area, but everybody's different. So for child's pose, it's generally considered a gentle stretch, but as we hold it longer, you'll really start to feel it in your inner legs. Kind of a little stretch for your back, even your arms and your shoulders. And you're going to be here about 2 to 3 more deep breaths. And then take your time. You can lift your forehead up, walk your hands back through to the center, just kind of pausing here, and then walk your hands back. All right, so we're going to come to a counter stretch. You're going to take your knees together this time, so letting those inner legs relax. Take your hands behind you to relax the shoulders, and you can bring your forehead down. Between each pose, we'll kind of have a transition pose or a counter stretch. So we'll only be here about 5 breaths. If you want, you can, if it feels okay, you can relax that forehead back down, relax the top of your hands down. And then slowly making your way back up. All right, so we're going to come to a seat here, and we're going to set up for a butterfly pose. So if you want, you can sit on your blanket or just set your blanket to the side. All right, so normally in a butterfly pose, well, not normally, but sometimes if we're stretching just like for a shorter amount of time, we'd bring the heels in real close. But here, since we're holding it longer, we're going to press them away a little bit. As you press the feet away a little bit, it stretches a little bit more into your hips. So from here, just take a nice deep inhale. Sit up nice and tall to start out with, just straightening your back, straightening your spine. And then from here, go ahead and fix your mat. from here, we're going to hinge forward. So keep your chest lifted to start with. So you're thinking of just a hinge here, back stays straight. And for some people, that might even be just sitting up straight. You might not be able to go forward that much, but if you can, you're going to try to come forward. Initiating a stretch from your hips. And then option, just depending on your back. So if it feels better for your back, you might want to keep your chest lifted the whole time. But if it feels okay, you might want to round the shoulders, round the back, let your hands come down and come into a more relaxed position. And you want to try to find your edge in the pose. So in each pose, and your edge is kind of like a tricky thing to understand what that means. So it doesn't mean you're going to grab onto your feet and yank yourself down the furthest you can. It's kind of, you want to feel a good stretch. You want to feel like you're working. So it's not restorative. You want to be stretching deeply the whole time, but you don't want to tense those muscles up too much. Because we're holding it longer, we do want to give the muscles a chance to relax into the pose. So for this stretch, we're also stretching the muscles on the inner thighs, inner legs, also in the hips. So as you hold it longer, you might feel it a little bit more in the hips. And then maybe you feel it in your back. Just kind of notice if you feel it anywhere else. And those are the muscles that you want to try to relax. And kind of check in and just notice, see if you can go a little bit deeper. So even after the first 30 to 45 seconds, we should be able to go a little bit further than we could at the very beginning of the stretch. And it's a good time in Yin Yoga. It's more meditative, so it's a good time to kind of just use this as a time for yourself to try to quiet the mind. Maybe try to find some stillness even in your body as well. We'll be here about 3 more deep breaths. And just moving nice and slow. Take your time to walk your hands back, sitting up straight, just kind of pausing there with the straight back. And then we're going to windshield wiper our knees side to side. So you can take your feet out wide, drop both knees to one side, then the other, kind of releasing any tension in your lower back. All right. And then for counter stretch, we're going to come into reverse tabletop. So you're going to bring the heels in towards you, hands behind you, lift the hips up. So this is a nice counter stretch for any type of forward folding. So lifting the hips up nice and high, maybe letting your head drop back if that feels okay. And then slowly lower back down. Okay, good. So our next stretch in Yin Yoga is called Dragon Pose, but it's basically a low lunge. So we're going to set our blankets up as extra padding for our knee. So you can set the blanket up towards the middle or towards the back half of the mat. And we're going to have our left knee back on the blanket, our right foot forward. So I'll kind of show you. It's going to look kind of like this. All right, so go ahead and we'll just kind of check the setup. So your front knee should be over top of the ankle, so you want to make sure it's not forward or it's not back. And then lift that back knee up, see if it can go back a little bit farther. So we want a long space between the front heel and the back knee. From here, there's a few options. So we're going to relax that knee down. So one option is to have the fingertips by your feet. If you had blocks, because we're not really using props now, we'd kind of have our hands on blocks here. But instead of the blocks, you could have your hands on your knees, letting your back straighten up. So it's just kind of what feels better for you. The main stretch is going to be in our legs and our hips. So if you feel comfortable here, you can stay here. But if that doesn't feel good for whatever reason, you can straighten your back and stay up here in the pose. You can even stay down here for a few, like halfway through the pose, and then come up here halfway through the pose. So this is a really good stretch for our hips, our inner legs, kind of on both sides. So just allow your body to relax into the pose. Make sure, sometimes our tendency is for our head to kind of come all the way down, but just trying to keep your spine in line. So just kind of maybe looking forward at the front of your mat. From here, we're going to come to half splits variation. So you're going to walk your hands back, work towards straightening that front knee. So option to stay here with the hips up high over the knee, stretching the hamstring. Or you can work, if you want, you can sit back all the way towards your heels. So the traditional pose is up here, but if it feels better for you to sit back, you can sit back. So when we're here, we're kind of stretching the hamstring muscles. Maybe bring your forehead down closer to the knee. Good. Coming back to your breath. Taking those long, deep inhales through your nose. Long, deep exhales out through your nose. And, if it ever becomes too much, you can always come out of the pose, shake it out, and then come back in. Yeah, and you could always do, if that's uncomfortable, like a variation kind of like this as well, Yeah, I know it might be a little bit different for you, so. About 2 more deep breaths. Take your time to make your way out of the pose. So we're just going to come onto our hands and knees. Just kind of stretch it out. So stretching that leg out long behind you. Maybe doing 1 or 2 hip circles. And then we'll do a few rounds of cat-cow pose while we're here. So just stretching out the spine. So inhaling to drop your belly, lift your tailbone, look up. And then exhale, rounding. All right. And then when you're ready, we'll just set up for the other side. So taking the left foot forward this time. And take your time to set up. So kind of check that knees over top of the ankle. Lift that back knee up. See if it can go back a little bit further. Kind of noticing maybe how this side is. And if any stretch doesn't work for you or your body, you can find another stretch that works better. All right, so from here, either hands can stay down here if that feels okay, or at any point during the stretch, making your way up, allowing your back to straighten if that feels better for your back. But targeting the inner leg muscles, the hip.
Sinking into the stretch, or am I also at the same time kind of scissoring my legs together, like resistance-wise?
Well, I can see like sinking in, as long as so it depends. So like, if it feels okay, sink into it. But for some people, they might want to be lifted because of back issues. And then, what did you say about the scissoring?
Oh, like if you're like kind of pulling your legs together, am I doing that?
I think you're right. I think like squaring the hips, like left hip back, right hip forward. Yeah, if you think like that. Yeah.
Thank you.
And thanks, Laura. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just going to take an opportunity here. You guys are perfect to just take a picture. So just so you know, and I'll send you the picture after class. So you all have a photo of our beautiful evening. I may take 2 to get. Very nice. All right, one more deep breath here. And then we're going to work into that half splits variation. Walking the hands back, work towards straightening that front leg. And you can even kind of think of squaring the hips. So think left hip back, right hip forward as you fold down towards the knee. If it feels better for you to sit back towards the heel, that's an option. Or you can come into that other variation fold. But either way, folding forward towards that front knee. About 2 to 3 more breaths here. Take your time to make your way out of the pose and just kind of stretch out the leg. However you want, maybe just reaching it back, doing a few circles, shaking it out. And then we're going to come into a downward facing dog. So you can spread out the fingers, tuck your toes, lift the hips up and back, and just kind of stretch everything out. Downward dog is such a good stretch because it really stretches your whole body. So as you press the heels down towards the mat, and you can even do one side, then the other. So bend one knee, straighten the other leg. You're stretching your calves. As you kind of press your chest towards your upper thigh, you're really stretching the shoulders, the upper back. And then you're stretching your back and your hamstrings as well. Great, very good. And then we're going to make our way back onto our hands and knees. All right. Good. So we're going to set up, our next pose is going to be a puppy pose or melted heart pose. So it's going to focus more on the upper body. So it's kind of like child's pose, except the main difference is we keep our hips up high. So knees under our hips. We can start out in a tabletop. And then you're going to walk the hands forward, allowing your forehead to come down. And this is going to get, by keeping the hips up high, it's going to get deeper into the upper body. So once you're here, just start to notice it, start to feel it in your upper, maybe your upper back a little bit, your shoulders, and your arms. Variation you can do here is just an option, just depending on what you like. Is you can come into Namaste arms, so kind of bringing the hands together in a Namaste position. Bringing the hands up above the head is just an option. out 2 more deep breaths. And then you can slowly walk your hands back. Take your time. All right, for our counter stretch this time, we're just going to sit back. It can be on your heels or just seated. Just take your hands behind your back. So the counter stretch is for our shoulders. Interlace your hands behind your back, just drawing your shoulders down and back, just sitting up straight for a few breaths. All right, very good. So from here, we'll just make our way to a seat. And you can have, if you brought a strap, you can have your strap nearby. If you didn't bring it, that's okay. You don't really need it. We're just going to, it's just there. We just have it for a short amount of time. Yeah, just grab a drink of water. And we're going to do what's called shoelace pose. So whenever you're ready, take your right leg out long and cross your left foot over top of that leg. All right, so some options. It can stay crossed like this. But if you're able to, you want to work towards taking that foot over to the side, stacking the knees on top. But that's not everyone's going to be able to do that. So just do whatever you can, wherever you can. Even if it's just here, that's fine too. All right. So kind of this action of putting that foot over top you're going to feel the stretch in the hip. So this is where we're kind of feeling it here, maybe a little bit in the hamstring as that leg's kind of stretched out. So while we're here, we're going to stretch out the arms a little bit. So you can go ahead and take your strap. If you don't have it, that's fine. But take it in whatever knee's on top, take it in the opposite hand. You're going to reach it up, bringing the elbow up towards the sky. Other hand behind your back. Yeah. So if your fingertips can hook and touch, you don't really need the strap. But to be honest, you don't actually need the strap anyway. Your fingertips are just reaching for each other. The strap just kind of helps kind of close that gap. The main thing you want to focus on here is that you're not rounding or hunching over. You want to keep everything lifted, even if that means drawing the arms farther apart. So chest is neutral, looking forward, and feeling the stretch. So it's kind of opening up the chest, stretching the shoulders, and also stretching the tricep muscle and that arm that's on top. One or two more deep breaths. And then you can bring that arm that was on top, you can bring it down, and we're just going to bring it across. So draw the shoulder down and back and just bring it across the body. And then you can release your arms. And if you want to go deeper in the pose, you might start to come forward. So coming forward is going to stretch out your hip a little bit. If your legs are out long, your hamstring underneath. So just staying here for a few breaths, or even maybe just sitting up straight, you might feel it enough. 1 or 2 more deep breaths. And take your time to walk your hands back and just sit up nice and straight. You can uncross the legs and just kind of shake them out in front of you. And we'll windshield wiper the legs again, so just taking your hands behind your back, dropping both knees to one side, then to the other. All right, good. And then from here, we'll just set up for the other side. So other foot comes forward, maybe left leg forward, and then cross the other knee at top. One side might be a bit different than the other side, so don't be surprised if one side's harder or easier. Either staying here or you can work towards walking that foot across. And then from here, we'll stretch out the arm. So just taking the strap, if you were using it in the opposite hand, or just reach that opposite arm up, bend at the elbow up towards the sky, other hand behind your back, fingertips reaching for each other. Doesn't matter if they touch or not, but you want to keep that head and chest lifted, face in neutral, just everything's opening up, stretching out the arm. And then when you're ready, go ahead and release the arms. And then we'll take that arm that was up. You can bring it across your body, drawing the shoulder down and back as you bring it across. Good. And then you can release from here. And then either staying here, sitting up nice and straight for a few breaths, or if you want to go deeper, starting to make your way forward a little bit more. One or two more deep breaths. And then slowly start to walk your hands back, sitting up straight. And then when you're ready, uncrossing, just shaking out the legs. And then windshield wipering your knees side to side a few times. All right. So from here, maybe just grabbing another drink of water, and then we're going to come on to our stomach. We won't really need our blankets or anything. You can just kind of put them to the side. And we're going to come into Sphinx pose. So this is a stretch for lower back. So you'll come onto your stomach with your elbows underneath your shoulders and just your hands in front of you. All right, so just kind of checking your setup. So your elbows are a little bit back, bring them a little bit forward so they're right under your shoulders. Yeah, perfect. And then you just want to make sure that during the pose that you don't kind of allow yourself to kind of hunch in. So just always think to kind of keep those shoulder blades drawn apart away from your ears. And this is a nice gentle stretch for our lower back. And you can kind of control the intensity a little bit. So if you kind of bring your head down and look down, That kind of lowers the stretch on your lower back. If you bring your head forward, your chest forward, and even look up a little, that kind of just slightly increases the stretch and the intensity on your lower back. So from here, you can either stay here for a few more breaths, or if you feel like you want to try to go a little bit further, you could take your hands a little bit wider, straightening the elbows, coming into a little bit deeper back stretch. Maybe about 2 more breaths here. And then you can make your way down. We're going to rest on one side, one cheek, so you can bring one side of the head down. Bring your hands by your side with your palms up, just letting the shoulders relax, staying here for a few breaths. And then you can lift your head up and just bring the other side of your head down, the other cheek down to rest. Good, and then you can come back up again. All right, so for the next pose, we're going to start out kind of in Sphinx pose just to set up, and I'll kind of show you how it's going to set up. So just stretching our shoulder, you're going to take, say, your left hand kind of in front of you, and you're going to bring your right arm underneath the left armpit. So you're going to hug that arm in towards each other, and then the forehead can rest on your hand or on your forearm in front of you. So it's just kind of drawing that shoulder blade in a little bit more. then slowly lift your head back up. We'll just come through to the center, and we're going to switch sides. So just bringing the other hand across, other arm underneath, squeezing that shoulder up towards you as you come down. One or two more breaths here. And then you can slowly make your way up. So we're going to come up all the way up to a seat. All right, so just as kind of like a counter stretch, we're just going to do an easy seated twist. So just starting out, take your left hand to the outside of your right knee, right hand behind your back. So just sitting up nice and tall, looking over that shoulder, staying here for about 5 deep breaths. And then come back through to the center, and we'll just switch sides. So the twisting, just being really good for our spine, for our back. And then you can come through to the center. All right, so we're going to take our blankets and we're going to set them up for Shavasana. So kind of like an option for Shavasana. We did this last week, I think, right? So we're going to roll it kind of the best you can into kind of like a skinny roll, like kind of long and skinny, the best you can. And, you know, it's just, if you can't do it, that's fine. Your towels may be a little too skinny, I don't know. But it's just an option of something we can try. So I'll show you guys so you can kind of see what it looks like. So basically this is going to go along our spine. So I'm going to set it up kind of right in front of my hips, and then I'm going to come down. We're going to start with a butterfly pose, with kind of a relaxed butterfly pose, letting it lie along your spine. Your head can either lie on the blanket or on the mat. Yeah, either way is fine. And kind of what this is doing is it's allowing our shoulders and our chest to kind of really just open up. Let your hands come by your side, maybe your palms just open. And with your kind of your chest being elevated a little bit, it lets your head drop back a little bit, or your shoulders drop back, and allows the shoulders to relax a little bit more and open up that chest area in a more relaxed, more of a restorative type of way. And then from here, you can either stay here in your Shavasana, or you can straighten your legs. And then you can either keep your towel there or just push the towel aside. So it's kind of just whatever feels good. For the last 2 minutes or so of class, just allowing your body to relax. So if you like the towel there, keeping it there, but if it feels weird, just pushing it aside and lying flat on your back. allowing your body to just really release, relax, sink a little bit deeper. Notice if you feel any tension in your body. Just kind of notice where you're feeling it and consciously just kind of allow that area to release. Sending love and loving thoughts to your body. And from here, take a nice deep inhale. Complete exhale. One more time, inhale. And exhale. Slowly start to wake your body up, maybe rolling your ankles out, rolling your wrists out a few times. And then from here, you can bend your knees, reach your arms up overhead. Maybe rolling onto your side, just kind of taking your time to make your way up to a seat. And when you're ready, coming all the way up to a seat. All right, so we'll finish by bringing our hands to our heart center. Let's take one more deep inhale, reaching our arms out and up. Exhale to press the palms together, lower your hands back down. Just take a moment to reflect on your practice, to thank yourself for coming out, doing something good for your body, for your mind, and just allowing the positive energy that you feel from class to be a benefit to yourself and the people around you throughout the evening and throughout the day tomorrow. Namaste. And again, happy birthday. We have 2 birthdays to celebrate. So Laura and Erica, I brought cupcakes and I have some. Artie we did yesterday. Artie's here. Artie's here online. Yeah, if you want to say hi. You can come say hi.
Birthday twins.